Hello guys. This is
Storytelling for a change.
and we are so excited to host you today. This is our first episode and we know that you've been looking forward to this day, right, Deborah?
Listen, it's been a month since this idea was born,
Yeah.
and the fact that we're in the studio right now talking, it's God. It's God. It's God and taking action as well.
Yes.
Taking action come together. Are you excited for the?
I am super excited. As you know, inspired conversations is part of who I am, I guess.
Yeah.
It is something that was born in me, and most of my friends know that I have a tagline called Lydia, she inspires all. I love having conversations in a very authentic way,
Yeah.
sharing my story, but also helping others to share their stories. Why? Because I know that we all have a story.
Yeah, we all
Isn't
have.
that so?
That's very true, and I think from these conversations you're able not just to see the world from a different perspective, that you also get to learn and also change your life as well, because that's what we're here for. That's what we're here for. So we're gonna get started. This episode today we're gonna be introducing ourselves and letting you guys know who we are, what we do, and what this podcast will be about. So stay tuned. Stay tuned, and if you haven't reached for that follow button, this is the time to do that.
Yes.
It's the time to do that. It's the time to do that. So make sure you follow us. We are on iTunes and we are also on iPodcast. So make sure you follow for more. And the video version will be on YouTube. So make sure you're following as well.
Yeah. Yeah, and Deborah, and I think the reason number one people should subscribe and follow us is because this is a unique conversation. It's a dual conversation.
Yeah.
We have ourselves from you and I from different generations, I guess.
Completely different.
And
different.
it comes with its own challenges as well as its own joys, and so. And I'm sure we'll be highlighting some of those conversations as we go.
Yeah.
But also having a mom and a daughter doing this is quite exciting.
Quite exciting. I think the perspective is completely different. So it will be amazing to see where we born and also where we don't. We're completely different as well. So that'll be great.
Yeah.
It'll be great. So
Yeah.
let's get started. Should we get started?
Yes.
Yeah. So I am going to ask you first who is Lydia? who is Lydia? Let's get to know Lydia right now.
Gosh, that's a question that I ask all the people that I talk to. Who are you? And I get also to ask myself, who am I?
Yeah.
Who am I? Yes, I know Lydia is an international development specialist. I work with communities across the world. Lydia is a mentor. Lydia is a coach. I am a mom. I am a sibling. I am a daughter. I am an active community member. I am an auntie, but all those are titles. I'm also a leader where I work in a global brand, but those are titles.
Yeah.
But who is Lydia?
Who is Lydia authentically?
Who is Lydia? And that is quite deep for me. And I'm hoping down the line we'll have a conversation as well, asking different people who they are. But you know, Deborah, I believe that I did not choose to be here on this earth.
Okay.
Why
Why do you think that? Why do you think that?
Well, because I was not consulted by whoever put me here on earth.
Interesting.
I did not choose to be born in the family that I was born. I believe that I was in the mind of a higher being, of someone or something or a higher power that is greater than myself that thought of me. And so for me, I am a spiritual being.
Wow.
Having this human experience.
Amazing.
This hand is not Lydia. This other hand is not Lydia. This head is not Lydia. There is something that is deep inside of me that makes the who I am. So all these other things are titles, including being your mom, including being Favor's mom, are titles for me.
Yeah.
But you know, they are the titles that make us.
Yeah.
So let's say that I am a coach, I'm a mother, I'm a podcaster, and of course I'll be hosting this show.
Amazing.
So yeah.
Amazing.
So
I liked how you talked about being a spiritual being, which is quite something that's very deep, and I think we'll get into it through the episode. But I remember one time that you were explaining to me about the concept of God and just religion, and you were talking to me about how much power we have as human beings that we don't know.
Yeah.
So you gave an analogy of having an ocean
Mhm.
and having a palm of water on your hand, and I
Yeah.
think that's quite something that just put me back, and I realized how there's more to us than just the titles or the looks or the personality. There's more and deeper into that, which is amazing.
Yes, it is. And as you remembered, we have a glass of water here. We drew this water from a tap, right?
Uh-huh.
And we cannot say that we cannot give it a different name. And so, and as I said earlier, we came from the mind of God.
Yeah.
We came from the mind of a power that is all knowing, that is all powerful, that is all intelligent,
Yeah.
that is ever present, that is present everywhere, that created everything.
Yeah.
And for me, besides the dogmas of religion and faith and what people believe in and what I was taught to believe in,
Yeah.
I believe that I am a part of that higher being that created me. In Him, I live, breathe, and have my being. It shows that there is something that is in me, that I am part of, that I am one with, that defines who I am. And as you might remember that I told you that one of my purpose here on earth is to discover who I am. And the purpose of every human being
Yeah.
is to discover
Who they are.
who they truly are.
Amazing. Wow, guys, I don't think I'm gonna be able to top that introduction because mine is very just simple. How old I am, who I have, what I do, and that's it. So I'm gonna give you guys what I have, what I've prepared, because hers is just a bit too deeper than mine. So I didn't get too deep on who I am, but I wrote down the qualities that I have, and then I wrote what my characters are. So my name is Deborah Mungai, but most people know me for Tia Deborah. I started to realize that Tia Deborah is not my alter ego, but she is she's that very ambitious CEO type of girl. So I think Tia Deborah is what I'm mostly known for. I obviously am a sister and I'm a daughter to Lydia right here. So this woman right here is created me and she's been raising me, and I also have a very beautiful sister who's actually behind me. Do you wanna come say hi? Come and wave. Come and wave. Just stand and wave. Move to the chair and wave. Move, come in and wave. Let them know.
Hello, yeah, that's our daughter.
That's our sister, and she's actually we've been calling her our administrator, so she's our administrator. I'm also I do have my background in cybersecurity. That's what I studied for, but I term myself as a serial entrepreneur. So I'm in the beauty and the tech spaces as well. And if you would ask me who Deborah is, I'd say she's a self-motivated woman. She's ambitious and she's a people person. I'm literally that friend that you would go to talk to for anything, and she will give you the advice. So that's just me. That's me in simple words. But you guys will get to know me through the episodes. So I'm gonna give you guys that one. So
It's great that you describe your characteristics, what you do, your career, and you being a sister to Favor and my daughter, which is great.
Yeah.
But something else, Deborah, there's something deeper. The scientists say that in every strand of our DNA, yes, there is God's name in it. And after you've written a good script or on your website, on your logo, you've signed on it, Tia Deborah. And on every strand of our DNA, the Maker has signed His name, God eternal within Deborah. God eternal within Deborah, which is amazing.
Which is quite amazing. Very, very. Guys, listen. This channel will get deeper than this, so I'm excited.
Thank
I'm
you.
excited.
Yeah.
I'm excited. So I think we'll go into what we actually gonna bring to the podcast and what the podcast is gonna be about. So um what are you gonna be bringing to the podcast? What do you think it's gonna be?
Authentic conversations, I guess that is what we'll be hosting.
Yeah.
We'll be having those uncommon conversations
Yeah.
that people don't want to talk about.
Literally, I have been recording a few videos on TikTok, and I was realizing I really like talking about things that people don't want to talk about. Things like spirituality, things like manifestation, things like how to get through life. Because I think most of us just want to go through life and just go through the just subconsciously keep doing everything.
Mhm.
But I think having those conversations that people are not having really sets the mood, and it sets a completely different vibe, if that makes sense. So
Yeah. And someone was telling me during the weekend
yeah.
that they love the content that you're pushing out there, and I guess it's because it is uncommon.
Yeah.
But also, I guess in this channel we will invite guests who we can have those authentic, raw conversations with.
Yeah.
People who have gone through life experiences, and I'm sure you'll also be talking to us about your own experiences.
Yeah, and your experiences as well, which you guys will get into it. So
Yeah, and Favor as well.
Listen, guys, you guys are not ready for Favor. Favor has stories. Favor has been, we have seen Favor go through changes that we're like, what wait, hold on, what? So yeah. It would be nice to have different conversations that people not be.
Yeah, and some of the experiences that, of course, we will share jointly as a family is to invite families that have gone through some of the very challenging times like we've gone through. Like for me, growing up in the village and the challenges as a girl, and what pushed me to the work that I am doing, the journey as a widow, and how I almost died, you remember, just before your daddy passed away. And for you, the experience of growing up without a father figure, your daddy who loved you and adored you. But you know, there are also other young people that are out there that are struggling.
I was literally, that just clicked in my mind, and you realize that, like, it's nice to have that relatability. It's not just, like, okay, you can experience what I experienced, but it also brings away that a feeling of, I'm not going through this alone. There's someone else who has gone through this, and if they can be able to make it, then I can do it as well. Like, I can do it as well. And it's that connection is really, it helps quite a lot. Even thinking about do you listen to podcasts outside of?
Yeah, I do.
You can kind of like understand them, and not understand them. They kind of help you through life, which is so beautiful. And I think this podcast will be exactly what that is.
Yeah, and you know, people relate with stories more. And going back to when we were discussing about storytelling for a change. You remember when we went to London to tell our story? And how people reacted to that, and how people relate. Some did not relate because they are not from an African or a background.
But the sympathy of it, and just connecting with the story is just, it's really powerful.
It's powerful,
guys. Wow.
And you know, Deborah, one more thing. Part of what we do, and part of who we are, we have had people supporting us along the journey, encouraging us, giving us, providing for us, supporting us financially, like people who paid my school fees, and I'm sure there are charities out there who are not able to tell their story. And you remember those days when you go with you to Korogocho, and you were able to see the poverty that is out there. And I have traveled across the world, and I have so many stories of change that I'm able to tell. But you see, there's a number of charities out there that are not able to tell their story. It's one thing for you, for a person from where we live in the UK, but the way we live in the UK, yes, for them to talk about malaria, And it is so different for me to
Who-
talk about malaria.
Especially if you have experienced it or you have been around people who have experienced it, the conversation's completely different. It's the same thing as me coming to pitch to you about something that you have completely no idea of.
Yeah.
And then you coming to tell me the story and you have experienced it. It also brings an emotional connection as well.
Yes, yes.
Emotional connection, which
Yes.
is not just authentic, but human beings connect through emotions more than speaking. It's more of that just that energy and the emotion in it is really something you can't put it through anything else.
Yeah. And seeing the beauty of how some of these things that people go through, like we've gone through stuff, but the realizing and the awareness, which is a spiritual aspect, that these things did not happen to us.
And for no reason as well. Like
Yes.
there is a purpose outside of, not a purpose, but there's also a story. There's a story outside of what happened to you. There's a bigger purpose, if that makes sense.
There's a bigger purpose. So these things happened through you and for you. And when you look at them, you will see the blessing
Within it.
in them.
Within it. Yeah. I really stand on things don't happen for no reason.
Yeah.
There is a purpose of why you're going to either do that good thing or that bad thing.
Yeah.
There's a reason why, and that's quite amazing. Quite amazing.
Yeah. So that's just some of the stories that we'll be talking about.
Yeah.
And of course, giving back to the charitable work to help people that shape their story, as we also grow and as I said, part of what we are born to do is to serve and leave a lasting impact.
Oh, yes.
When this life is over, because this life will be over at some point, we want to leave a legacy that is more that doesn't die. There is immortal, that doesn't die. A voice and people who will be able to say, well, I was inspired by that podcast. I was inspired by that video. It was very dark. My life was hopeless, but I had hope.
There was light.
There was light.
We actually have, I don't know if you've seen, but we have on our anchor, the first 4 words that describe our podcast is a beacon of light.
Yeah.
And I think that's exactly what we want to do.
Yeah.
So that's quite amazing.
Yeah. And of course, the beacon of light also, there are times when the sky is so blue and so clear. You want to motivate and inspire people to keep going, and make their light shine even brighter. Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. I think obviously because I am a young person, so I would love to bring a young perspective on things, because things have been changing so much. If we start talking today, we're not gonna finish. Things like social media, things like phones, things like school. I think completely your time and my time, it's not completely different, but so many changes have happened.
It's quite different.
I mean, we still live in the same earth, but very different. Very different.
Yeah, and it's because we are also evolving, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We love change. As long as it's positive.
Sometimes it is negative, but
find the positive. Find the positive in the negative.
Yeah.
Right. So I'd definitely love to bring a young person's perspective into this channel. I don't really think I've seen any channels that are being run by younger people. I mean, there's quite a lot out there, but I think a young perspective will definitely be great. I also did talk about the pressures of the now.
Yeah.
I think there's quite. Do you think there's quite a lot more pressures now than at your time?
I think there are more because of social media.
Okay.
What you see, the Beyonce out there, you go to London and you meet for these interactions and these concerts, and you see the Beyonce out there, and there's so many young people who want to ape that life without working for it or without doing anything for it. But of course, there's the other side of the peer pressure that comes with social media, because on the social media people show this the
lifestyle,
lifestyle,
everything
and there is a lot of pressure from for you people, for your generation
compared to yours.
to come up. We did not have TVs.
Oh, so you wouldn't know what someone in the US is doing, what someone in Canada is doing, what someone in Jamaica is doing,
No.
for you to compare yourself to them.
No.
You know the kid next door.
Oh yeah.
And that's it.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
Our influence was in the neighborhood.
And that's it.
Was in the peer groups.
That's it.
But even then, you know, the discipline was very hard. It was tough those days.
Yeah.
Your neighbor would beat you up if they found you doing something wrong.
Yeah.
You know. But also the regulations across the world have changed.
Yeah.
My neighbor cannot come and beat you.
Oh no, he'll get arrested.
You get
tomorrow you get arrested.
You get arrested. So all these things have changed have put a lot of pressure in people's life. And I'm hoping that at some point we'll bring in a psychologist who is a friend of ours who can give us the perspective, because she deals with teenagers, to give us the perspective of dealing with younger people and helping them.
Yeah, I think that would be really helpful as well. Not just for younger people, but for parents.
Yes.
I think that would help. Shaping your teenager, because I think your teenage years also affect your 20s.
Yes.
Your 20s affect your 30s.
Yes.
30s affect your 40s. So it's a thing where shaping your child, especially if they're going from, if you think from the age of 0 to 10, they're really with you. But from like 10 upwards, they start to get out, and it's that managing as well. I mean, not controlling a kid, but managing, being able to manage them and being able to give them a different light things. So and I'm hoping you also bring other young people who will be vulnerable, because this is you're talking about being authentic here and being vulnerable as well. So we have 20 minutes, so we're not gonna keep speaking for you guys, but we're gonna have to wrap it up here, because you guys have been hearing us for too long, so we want to bring you in for the next episode. But I would love to share, before I forget, that we are promoting businesses. We are letting businesses sponsor this podcast. So if you want your business to be on the podcast, whether it's clothing, whether it's clothing, anything that is product or service based, you can send us the products. We can show them, because we have a YouTube channel. We're gonna show them on the podcast. We will speak about them on the podcast, and we're also going to have them on the description. So if you do want to sponsor our podcast, make sure you send us an email, and we will get to you. We will promote you, because this podcast is going to be reaching a lot of people. Yeah. So I'm excited.
I am excited as well.
So so thank you for listening to our very first episode. Can't believe we're doing this, but it seems like God's plan. God's plan. So so stay tuned on the next video and audio and podcast. Sorry, it will be due next week on Tuesday, most probably on Tuesday, definitely on Tuesday. So make sure you subscribe, follow, find us on YouTube. You can watch the YouTube version, which will be on the podcast as well. And you can listen to us while you're walking, while you're driving, and feel inspired. So
let's do this together. So for now, we say bye. Please do subscribe, do follow us, and do share this podcast or this YouTube with your friends. Bye from us.
Bye.